Hello.
Hi, Mr. Kash Patel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm going to give you a brief intro. I know our audience knows you. I go live tonight, so I'll play it then.
Okay.
But former federal prosecutor, you were on the Nunes team. Um, to me, when we watched the plot against the president, that's when I was like, wow, this guy's the one who really blew it up. And then you went on to be work for the Secretary of the Department of Defense,
Mhm.
NSA, right?
Yeah,
DIA.
National Security Council, DNI. Well, that's whatever.
So it's great because your federal prosecutor, I think, gives you a lot of insight to what goes on.
Mhm.
So I want to get to first the political thing, Politico, because I think that's going to be a big one. So tell us what's going on with that.
The defamation lawsuit.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So it's 2.5 years in the making. It's been we filed defamation lawsuits against Politico, CNN, and New York Times for totally made up, fabricated stories regarding the Ukraine and RussiaGate, etc. And they tried to kick us out of court. And long story short, the judge decided that there is a righteous cause of action, actually multiple righteous causes of action, and that we will proceed to discovery, which is always the goal, because now we will get the sources that Politico used to defame me, specifically Natasha Bertrand, and I will get depositions and I will depose Fiona Hill, Alexander Vindman, Charmella, the supposed whistleblower, Schiff, Swalwell, and their entire staffs. And I will divulge that information to the public. That's the goal of these defamation lawsuits, to expose the media's corruption. And I think we're one step closer. It's taken time, but I'm
That
glad.
that's the other thing. All these things take so much time, and we are pretty impatient, we as a people, but things are starting to finally come through. So that'll be great. That discovery, Adam Schiff and
Yeah. Uh,
Vindman, when he corrected them, that would be Lieutenant Vindman to you. So I think that's super, and people can support you at fightwithcash.com, correct?
that's not me. So the
That's your
information there
lawsuits.
is for the
Oh,
is for the Cash Foundation, which is a 501c3. So it's a charity. My opinions politically are my own, but we do have a 501c3 that we help fund not just these types of defamation lawsuits through a legal trust. We
yeah.
branched off into a 501c3 where we're helping, for example, veterans, active duty service members who've been wrongfully attacked, Jan 6 families, and whistleblowers. So we're doing as much as we can, but all that information is at fightwithcash.com with a K. Join us. That's the whole point. We're doing it as a team,
Yep.
and we're not making money off of it. We're trying to help where we can.
So I'll definitely be dropping those links in the live chat when we play this later this evening. Um, the other thing I wanted to talk about, of course, is on everyone's mind is what's going on in New York with Trump. They had the whole press camped out there looking like fools, and nothing ever happened. Do you think that's falling apart?
Yeah, look, from my time in the Justice Department and before that, specifically as a public defender, you have a duty to present evidence, all of it,
Yeah.
to the court and to the grand jury who's deciding whether or not to charge the target that is being considered. And it's not surprising that the Democratic funded, Soros funded prosecutor, Alvin Bragg, has taken a page out of the DOJ's Russiagate book where they hide evidence of innocence.
Yeah.
They seem to have done it to many January 6 folks. They did it in Russiagate to unlawfully surveil President Trump. We uncovered that, and now it's no surprise that they did it to President Trump himself directly in the New York State prosecution, or attempted prosecution. What's
Yes.
tragic is it's the two-tier system of justice is just everywhere, and it's needs to be fixed.
It's really horrific. And Patriot Soapbox is 24/7 news run by volunteer patriots, alternate news, and we're going on 5 years, all volunteers. One of our people is January 6er, and I don't know how much he hasn't been able to discuss his case much, but he did say he was about to cop a plea and decided not to, as the footage is starting to come out. But when Donald Trump kind of called on us, it's time to get together. And I think a lot of us feel that way. Like, it's time, we need to protest. We're scared because we don't want to end up in a gulag. And what would be your advice? Do you think we should start protesting? Or I just don't. I was about to hop a train to New York because I live in Connecticut, and I was like, I don't want to end up locked up, because they're so crooked. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Protesting is a constitutional right so that people who have a shared voice can be heard. And that's the whole point of it. It's a constitutionally protected right. And what I think we need to do even more so than that is destroy the fake news media, because a large portion of the American electorate was lied to on everything from Russiagate to Hunter Biden's laptop, to the allegations surrounding Tara Reade made and how they portrayed her. And of course, their hypocrisy knows no bounds in many of the January 6 cases, in the classified documents case, Mar-a-Lago, Biden. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
And the point is, I think enough Americans have now seen this repeated pattern of disinformation from the media and big tech that they are now starting to listen to us. So what I always tell people is, we can't get hyperbolic. We can't go crazy. We can't latch on to the silly things they want us to latch on to. We have to join together and say, what do we want? We want a safe nation. We want to educate our children the way we choose.
Yeah.
We don't want drugs in our streets, and we want America to be a powerful, if not the most powerful nation on earth. And nothing wrong with that. The only person talking and doing about anything about it is Donald Trump. So we can unify along some of those messages and educate others who are going to need to win in 2024. That's more important to me than anything else, because right now we have their ear, because they're like, whoa, I was lied to. I was, fed disinformation, whether it was Adam Schiff and Swalwell or the media. And we have to take advantage of that smartly. The Dems always do it to us, and we always splinter because we don't agree 100% on everything. And that's never going to happen. That's the whole point of a democracy. It's never unrealistic. But you have to come together on major common ground issues like children's education, healthcare, national security, and the economy.
I agree. I want to backtrack to something I heard you say on another interview the other day. Well, I want to talk about Russia and China too, but really quickly, I heard you say that Biden in the laptop stuff, he can pardon himself, he can pardon Hunter. Do we know if Obama pardoned Hillary before he left office?
We didn't, otherwise we would have known about it.
Okay, so why is there nothing being done? Like, is Durham still in action? Is he out of action?
Durham's still going. I don't know what's going on there, but with Hillary, what people have asked that, it's a valid question. It's because Comey hijacked the DOJ and politicized it and exonerated her as an FBI director when it wasn't his decision to make. And once he went out and did that publicly, he put the DOJ in a bind. And it's not like I had faith in Obama's Justice Department to prosecute her anyway. But this is the problem in the beginning of the two-tier system of justice that Comey engineered with Russiagate and signing off on the unlawful FISA warrant, illegally lying to a federal court and unlawfully surveilling Donald Trump's team and other members. So that pattern of conduct has been established. And of course, the same people who stood for Comey, Strzok and Page and all these other people who committed corrupt activities at the FBI, they were the ones responsible for making up a whole new set of rules for investigating Hillary. And when we were saying it back then, people thought we were crazy or conspiracy theorists. But we have to keep bringing that back into the mainstream. Not to say we got to go figure out a way to get accountability against Hillary Clinton. That's unrealistic. We know how unlawful the activity was. What we have to do is implement a new system with the leadership of Donald Trump to say that's never going to happen again. And Americans aren't going to be targeted because of their political orientations or their conservative values.
I got to say, in early 2019, there was never a doubt in my mind that Donald Trump would not win. It was just not even a thought. And then slowly we saw what they did with COVID. It was just a disgrace. But I am always yelling Kash Patel for VP all the time. That's like my slogan.
We just got to get Donald Trump in office. I don't need any of that.
Well, we're pulling for him. We play all his rallies. We love him. And I was looking up his court cases today. They're coming at him from every which way, but no one can ever get, and nothing sticks. He's like Teflon Don.
Yeah.
So hopefully that goes on. But I want to talk briefly, it's very important, about countries moving out of the petrodollar
Yeah.
and China and Russia meeting and brokering deals. That's big trouble for us, I feel like. And also the other thing is these food processing plants that are burning and trains derailing. And we always play the clip of JFK saying infiltration from within. I don't know what's going on, but we're
Well, what's
losing
going on is that government gangsters have been put in place to hijack our agencies and departments from the American people at DOD, at FBI, at DOJ, at CIA, at NSA, wherever you want. And so, working backwards on what you were asking, when we're talking about the greatest national security threat America faces, it's what you highlighted. It's the combination of our two biggest adversaries, Russia and the Chinese Communist Party, getting together to broker deals on the global stage to take away the petrodollar and replace it with the petro yuan and allow Iran access to financial markets and the wherewithal to complete its nuclear ambitions. This should be the only thing people are talking about on a national security front. And instead, no one's talking about it because all Joe Biden says is, oh, it's a good thing they talk. But here's the shocker. They didn't even reach out to America to say anything. That's how far we've fallen. Joe Biden is up in Canada with blackface Trudeau talking about how grand everything is between America and Canada, and that they are finally going to stop illegal migrant border crossings between Canada and America, as if that's the number one national security threat we face. It's a good step. Maybe they should look to the southern border and do that there. But what China and Russia are doing, be it in the Ukraine or Taiwan or against us through TikTok and collecting our data and exploiting us and corrupting our children's minds and causing so much long-term damage, we're doing nothing. We're not sanctioning them. We're not dispelling them from the country. We're not taking out their diplomats. We're not doing anything on the global stage either. And our allies, like Saudi Arabia, aren't even calling us anymore. They're just saying, no problem. We'll stop our war with Iran, who we were literally firing missiles into a week ago, and we'll broker a deal with Xi Jinping. Yeah. And Xi Jinping will go on the world stage from Russia and say he's going to be the international peace broker. The leader of the Chinese Communist Party, who has 3 forms of genocide in his country, is talking to us about peace. And the world's listening because Biden isn't saying anything. And Kamala Harris is running around Africa with her word salad and endless failed diplomacy.
It's pretty scary because we talk about how honored Trump was when he went, to Saudi Arabia. He had the whole sword dance and he was brought to the Forbidden City. He went to, the demilitarized zone. He did so much. And we got to get the election fixed so they can stop cheating, which hopefully gets taken care of so that you can be VP. But I did want to talk about Government Gangsters, your book that's coming out. I'm going to share the screen and put it up really quickly. And didn't they block it or something from coming out?
Well, we're in month 4 of the manuscript review, which would happen when you're a government employee and you leave government and write a book, you have to submit it back to government for their approval. So we're going to take them to federal court. This manuscript's coming out. The book's done. And America's going to read about what Donald Trump put on Truth Social. He called this the blueprint to taking back the White House in 24. And importantly, it doesn't just highlight the problems of the government gangsters at every single agency and department. It calls out Republicans almost more than it calls out Democrats. But it offers solutions. How do we take back the FBI and DOJ? How do we use the levers of Congress? How do we seize their money, our taxpayer dollars, and make sure they produce to the American people the documentation that they are owed for accountability purposes in the public sector? So that's all what Government Gangsters is about. It's on governmentgangsters.com. And you can also grab it on Amazon. I'm doing signed copies. You can pre-order now. We appreciate it. Just go to governmentgangsters.com and get the information.
Here it is right there.
And there it is on Amazon. You can grab it there on the easy button too. It's coming out. They're not going to stop us, but this is what they try to do when you effectively attack them with facts and not hyperbole. So what I always tell everybody, doesn't get you anywhere calling people just by names and not providing solutions. You got to highlight a problem, explain it, and provide a solution that the American public can rally around. And that's the basis of government gangsters.
Do you think there's anything behind these food processing plants being burned?
I'm not tracking that story
No.
as probably as closely as I should, but I'll have to get back to you on that one.
Okay. I know that your time is limited. Anything else that you want to add? I know I had so many things to talk about, but I'm trying to condense it
No,
because
this has been a great interview. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate
Look,
you
I
coming
mean,
on.
you know, it's thanks to volunteers, everyone on your team that is able to put out media that's truthful. And that's been my message forever. Just lead with the facts. If they're harmful to us, it doesn't matter. Lead with them. If they're good for us, lead with them. That's what we did in Russiagate. And we got crushed for it because it destroyed the narrative, but it exposed the deep state and the fake news mafia, who the deep state cannot operate without. And we have to keep honing in on that message and utilize facts to show that the election was rigged with Hunter Biden's laptop, which is now abundantly proven. That's because we had the documentation to show it. If we keep doing those things, those little victories, and not fall for the Democratic traps of getting us to say something incendiary or posting a silly picture or things like that, then we are going to win in 2024 behind the leadership of Donald Trump, and he'll be our 47th president. So I'm thankful to y'all and your team. Please pass on my regards for having the audacity to put up a show, because it ain't easy. They're coming after you, and I'm glad to be a part of the movement. And
they for sure
we're
have
gonna keep
kicked
going.
us to the corners of the internet. And you're right. And the one thing I wanted to add is we needed a certain amount of people to wake up, and we needed to get the judges cleaned up, which Donald Trump did a good job. I was going to ask you a controversial question that people wanted to ask you about a certain letter of the alphabet.
Listen,
but I don't
you don't
wanna
have
do
to
that.
ask it. I don't mind addressing it. No, I'm not Q, and I don't believe in a lot of the crazy. That's what I'm talking about. There's a lot of good that has been brought together under whatever you want to call it, to highlight the things like the deep state, the two-tier system of justice we've been talking about. But there's also been crazy statements and posts that's what the left wants. And we can't fall for those traps. I'm not saying just it's entirely critical. I'm saying there's good and bad, and we have to be smart about it. You know, it's a galvanizing force for a lot of central issues about national security and whatnot. But then we can't go into down the rabbit hole of, you know, who killed JFK and why.
Yeah, that was crazy.
More important is Chinese fentanyl crossing our border and killing our children. Things like that are what we need to commandeer the national message on. Because here's the thing. The Democrats, under whatever letter they have, don't have a better policy message than we do. They have nothing that's winning on the economy, national security, law enforcement, education, healthcare, or overseas diplomatic engagement. Nothing.
Nothing.
So we own it, and we have to own the narrative with the facts.
Yeah. And I will say, before the media got a hold of that and tore us apart, it walked us through Russiagate, sourced material, and, you know, it had a lot of good, but then the media got it, and then we were destroyed. So that's where it's at. Thank you, Kash Patel, for VP. And we love Donald Trump. We're pulling for him. And I know I didn't talk too much. We've been covering cases very closely.
No, you've done a great job. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's blessed to be with you, and we'll see you soon.
Okay. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.